Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call hello, Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Rakah, Kodash. Let's send double honors to the apostle, elders, and bishops, great millstones. Send much peace, love, and salutations to Yakim out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, and sincerity and truth. This is Brother Ariala. And, hey, more witchcrafts, more magic, and more miracles from Esau, you know. And, just recently this got posted how they basically recreated an extinct species of dire wolf. And it just shows you they're doing whatever they can to get people to basically be wonder after the beast, to get ready for these MOTB systems. The people like, man, look at what they're able to do with their technology. They're recreating life. They're making people that's blind see, people that's deaf hear, people that can't walk, they're walking again. These are more and more things that they're doing to get people to wonder after the beast, man. So I'm gonna play this clip and show you like some of the stuff that they're doing. But before that, let's read this. Here in 2 Thessalonians 2 and 4, we read it all the time, but this is a really good example of the scripture popping off the page. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 4 says, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is God, that he is the Most High. And he's doing these things to play God, man. To play God. Now, when you skip down to verse 7, it says, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. All right, and that's why he set up the men of the Lord to go out and preach and prophesy. All right, to get ready to take this man down. Now, but verse 9 is what I really want to hinge upon. It says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. See, this is the things that he's doing to show power and signs and wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of truth, that they might be saved. For this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, right? That they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but have pleasures in unrighteousness. And so Most High setting this man up to do these miracles, so that those that need to be deceived are sealed away on that side, and those that who believe in the truth, the elect, are going to be sealed on the righteous hand side. Okay, but I'm gonna play this real quick, man.
Wolves are back thanks to CRISPR and ancient DNA resurrection. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Colossal Biosciences, which is a biotech company that leverages CRISPR technology, has de-extincted a species. They have brought back a species that supposedly has been gone for 10,000 years, and we're supposed to celebrate this. We're supposed to look at this as if this is some type of scientific achievement, and nobody looks at stories like this and says, well, who gave these people the authority to play God, to bring species that have been extinct back to life?
And we know where they get their authority from. We just read it, right? Whose coming is after the working of Satan. They get that authority from Satan to do these things.
Laws for guns, we have laws for all sorts of things, even laws for knives in certain countries. But apparently we don't have laws in place to prohibit insane scientists who receive millions of dollars from, random people, like in this case, Peter Jackson from Lord of the Rings fame, to bring and create new life, to bring artificial reproduction of these extinct species back to Earth. And this is a massive problem. This is what I've been warning about with CRISPR technology. Where does it continue from here? What's next? What are they going to try to do? Bring back the saber-toothed tiger? So just let me get this straight. They want to de-extinct species and tell us that, hey, isn't this adorable? We're bringing back potentially a wild animal that could be dangerous to the human population, right? We want to de-extinct these species, but at the same time, we want to depopulate humans, because the same people who...
And they're saying that they want to reintroduce these wolves back into the wild, right? And we know the prophecy say the Most High's putting the spirit on these people to make these beasts just to come and destroy people, man. You're putting the spirit on Esau to make these beasts just to bring judgment on the earth.
Fund this type of science, like Bill Gates and all of these massive big tech companies. They openly tell us that we have a population problem and we need to depopulate, but it's also okay to bring back extinct species, right? It's incredible, the perspective that these psychopaths actually have. But I suppose they probably want to de-extinct these species so they can bring them back to Earth to depopulate, right? Because this sounds like literally the plot, in a sense, of Jurassic Park. So Colossal Biosciences announced in October 2024 the birth of 3 wolves, pups with dire wolf genes, using ancient DNA and CRISPR to edit gray wolf genes. And do you think it's a coincidence that the wolves are named Romulus and Remus? For anybody out there that doesn't know, the twin brothers who were raised by a she-wolf, who supposedly, according to legendary accounts, were the creators of Rome. There's Rome again. We hear about Rome a lot in the recreation of the Roman Empire and the rebirth of the Roman Empire. That's what people like Elon Musk, who of course chimed in on this, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. They love to just talk about the Roman Empire, so I'm sure.
And that's the spirit. See, this is what we're saying. This is Rome all over again. This is Rome all over again. We read this here in a book of Revelation. You know, Revelation 13:11 says that I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exercises the power of the first beast before him. That's Rome. And causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. Right? So this is Rome coming back again as Mystery Babylon the Great / America. And that's why they named these wolves Romulus and Remus, who go back to the legend of the start of Rome. Talking about the two boys that suckled a she-wolf. All right. And then they had to go to the augurs. They had to have an inauguration to see who was going to rule. And Romulus ended up slaying Remus. And that's why you have Rome. They're causing everybody to go back and worship that first beast whose deadly wound was healed. But check it. And he doth great wonders. It goes back to those miracles, those wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven, and from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, talking about his military technology, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And so all of this technology and all of these wonders and miracles are leading to what? As you read this scripture, is leading to the MOTB. But them, in the process of doing these great wonders and doing these miracles, people worship this beast. All right? And that's why you have Joe Rogan and everybody like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is so fascinating. This is so great. Because they got to get people enamored.
Sure, that's a coincidence as well. But they're literally taking this type of technology, which we haven't given these people the authority to use, like CRISPR. And don't forget, CRISPR technology is the technology they want to use on you. They want to edit your genes. So the same way they take the DNA from this dire wolf and then they take the genetics from a gray wolf and they merge them together to create this new species, that's what they're trying to do with you. That's what I've been warning about. That's what CRISPR technology is. That's what gene editing is. That's what Klaus Schwab and all these people are talking about when they're talking about changing you, is getting this gene editing inside of you that will mix your genetic code with something else and change what it means to be a human, thus transhumanism, right? And don't forget with CRISPR that RFK, who is the now czar of health in the United States of America, is heavily invested, or was heavily invested in CRISPR before, of course, he supposedly had to sell his stock when he was named the czar of health in America. So pay attention to that, because we're going to hear more about CRISPR in the future. But this is making Jurassic Park a reality. And the question is, what's next? Mammoths, saber-toothed tigers? Well, they even tell us in this news clip I'm about to play for you that they are planning on recreating mammoths. And somehow nobody's going and arresting these people for attempting to do this, right? And then what happens from there, right? Well, I'm sure we already know they probably have that Nephilim.
Yeah, because the way that the ecosystem works now, you introduce these ancient species, they'll throw off the whole ecosystem, man. These dire wolves, if you let them out in the wild, will probably wipe out all the other wolves. Okay? They'll be apex predators above everything else. Who knows? And we say, bring it on, man.
Some DNA somewhere, and they're probably planning on doing something with that as well. Or maybe that's the gene editing that they have planned for humanity anyway. So listen to this story about the extinct dire wolf and de-extinction.
We turn now to that remarkable scientific breakthrough. 13,000 years after the last dire wolf walked the earth, scientists say they've now brought them back. Here's our chief national correspondent.
And you see that they're talking about 13,000 years. That's the time, when basically the earth was created, man. They're trying to play the Most High.
Back up and with the video tonight.
Tonight, a howl 13,000 years in the making. In a first for science, biotech company Colossal Biosciences says it brought the extinct direwolf back to life, a species that hasn't walked the earth since the Stone Age.
The direwolf is the first de-extinct species.
Well known from HBO's hit show Game of Thrones, ABC News given exclusive access into Colossal's lab in Dallas, where scientists are using genes from gray wolves to create dire
They're doing all this stuff in Texas, too. God damn.
wolves.
We've taken a gray wolf genome, a gray wolf cell, which is already genetically 99.5% identical to dire wolves, and we've edited those cells at multiple places in its DNA sequence to contain the dire wolf version of the DNA. That animal looks like a dire wolf, it will behave like a dire wolf, and it is a dire wolf.
Now, 7 months old, dire wolves Romulus and Remus eating well and getting bigger every day. David, the company tells us they're not stopping there. They plan to have woolly mammoths roaming the earth again by 2028. But critics argue that this de-extinction could harm fragile ecosystems.
David, yeah, the images are really something, Matt. Thank you.
So people will say that that's incredible, that's an achievement, that we're de-extincting species. But they're really making like a hybrid species in a sense. And of course, Elon Musk chimed in on it, and he said, please make a miniature pet woolly mammoth, right? The more that these conservative people just joke about it, make it this silly notion of, hey, why don't you make a pet woolly mammoth, and why don't you make a saber-toothed tiger? And everyone's like, yeah, that'll be great, right? Until the thing is in your backyard eating your kid. Then all of a sudden you'll say, well, maybe this was a problem. Maybe we shouldn't have let these psychopaths run wild with this type of technology. Maybe we should have been focusing on gun control, and we should have been focusing on, hey, if they have the ability to do this type of thing, we should probably have regulations in place, right? And of course, well, they don't want you to really think about that and how artificial intelligence and AI help them do this and move forward with this gene editing technology that they actually have, right? So
they're learning how to hack genes. They're playing around with extinct species, so to speak. What do you think they're getting ready to do this for, man? They're getting ready to create this transhumanistic society. And they need you to worship their technology and their science. This is the new religion. So that you will accept a chip. You will accept the MOTB when they get ready to roll it out. This is what they're doing with all of these witchcrafts, man. But we already understand that there's a process that has to happen. In Nahum 3 and 4 says, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts. See, this is Mystery Babylon the Great. When you read in Revelation the 17th chapter, it talks about this whore or this harlot that rides upon this beast. Right? It's the mistress of witchcrafts that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts. Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face. I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and I will set thee as a gazing stock. See? And this is the same thing that's going to happen. This is the very thing that's going to happen to America, bro. All right? Because of all of the witchcrafts that they're pushing out here. But this is just one of many more of the wonders that they're going to be pushing out here for the people to consume. Okay? So, I felt like this was interesting, man. You can go and listen to the whole thing. Nations Conspire, he goes into it. But with that, man, I want to say, Call hello, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Makar, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to y'all. I'm out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, sincere and true. Shalom.